Well, good morning. Good morning. So this whole presentation I thought of in the shower. So let's get started. It's my great pleasure and honor to be back here in Israel. This is my 4th trip. I've heard that they actually have sunshine here, but for the last 4 times I've been here, I've only seen the rain. So they said they're going to bring me back next time in July. No? Oh, okay. I'm from Texas, so maybe the heat I could handle. What I'd like you to do is we're going to talk about social, and social is about a relationship. So I would love for you to follow me on Twitter. If you're not a Twitterer, I'd love for you to follow my blog where I share great best practices. At IBM, I've been the Chief Marketing Officer for IBM's largest division. So what I'm going to share today are some of the trends that we see coming and that are here today specifically for marketeers and for digital areas. So I know that you guys know social very well, but I think there's some interesting new things. Today, about 79% of companies around the world leverage social in some form or fashion. But only 22% of those believe that they are ready for the new social revolution. One of the things that I found fascinating is from the latest study, 45% of new hires said that if a company doesn't allow them to use social on the job, that they would take a lower paying job with another company in order to be allowed to use Facebook and Twitter and the social tools. So this is really important to the millennials coming up. And the CEOs, 73% of them said that social is the #1 way of engagement with a client. That means all marketeers need to listen to this. 73% of CEOs said it's going to be the #1 form of engagement for the next 5 years. So social business, I believe, is here upon us today, and every great marketeer will use and leverage this for a competitive advantage. So social business is not overhyped. In my mind, it's underutilized today, and those companies who figure out how to utilize it will be the leaders in the market. So from a marketing profession, one of the things that I think is really important is that you combine marketing with some of the technologies that are out there. Social, which we've been talking about, but I'm also going to show you some of the elements of big data and analytics. Social analytics is hot. We call it in New York the new black, because everybody in New York wears black. And at the center, you see business process. So we're going to talk today about how to embed social into your marketing processes, your communication processes, to take this to the next level. So let's take a look at what those trends are. Now in the United States, we have David Letterman. Do you guys know David Letterman? Yeah? Okay, great. And you know David Letterman does his top 10 list, and he goes 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. They didn't give me enough time to do 10, so I did 5. And we're going to count down today together. So the first trend we're going to talk about is the new emergence of the power of social sharing. Secondly, we'll talk about personalization and that now it's all about the individual, not a demographic. Third, we're going to talk about innovation and why that's important to marketeers. Secondly, why social networks are the new production line. And then finally, that this requires a leadership position and that every marketeer needs to look at the new leadership market that social is bringing forward. Okay? So we're going to go 5 first. Let's talk about number 5. So when I grew up in school, which is many, 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 many years ago, what I was tested on was memorizing facts. In fact, most of the power was done for those people who had information. But today, I have 2 daughters, and their assignments are find this piece of information. It's not about memorizing it, but can you find it? And more importantly, is that trusted, and did it come from an expert? So this is a big shift that's occurring that's really important for marketeers, is how do you move from information hoarding to information sharing, moving to finding a trusted source of information. This is where the power shift is going. Now, a lot of people will say in marketing that they need to find those trusted influencers, those who are going to really make an impact on the market. And a lot of people believe that it's the person or the press or an analyst who has the most followers that's the most influential. But when you're looking at trust and you're looking at expertise, you really need to look beyond that, and you need to look at as a reaction, not just a set of followers. So this is a piece of work we did for the United Nations. The little red spots are influential comments that are coming through and coming forward. So here, the question they asked us was, who had the most influence on what happened in Egypt? If you went with the assumption that the most influence, the most trusted source of information was that person with the most followers, it would be Justin Bieber. You guys know Justin Bieber? Now, do you think that he really had the most influence in what happened in Egypt? Definitely, definitely not. Even though at the time he had 7.4 million followers and he was tweeting 4 times a day about what was happening in Egypt, he actually had one of the lower forms of influence in that particular area. And in fact, if you look at the upper right, a person with just 6,900 followers had the most impact in that particular area. So for you as marketeers, how does this relate? Well, think about for your company, if you knew those top influencers, not just going out there and looking at who has the most Facebook fans or the most Twitter followers, but if you could identify those people who impact your brand. Because here's the key. 15% of customers, 15% impact what every other customer thinks about you. So they are the trusted source. They are the expert. They're the people that are sharing that information. And technology can help you find out who those people are. Now here's another, I think, powerful tool that we're seeing happening everywhere, is that there is a power and a return on investment for discovering these experts. It comes from leveraging social analytics so that you're not just looking at fans or follower numbers, but the actual influence that they're having in the marketplace. So in this particular case, when a customer asks a question, and this European customer, what they're doing is when that question gets asked, they're using social analytics to flip it to the right set of experts. And those experts, again, aren't just people who have a lot of fans or followers, but they're people who are rated in a high form of influence. So you guys may be familiar with something called Clout.com. You guys know Clout? K-L-O-U-T, that rates your personal influence. This is the next big trend and next big area. Companies are using that metric and others to determine this level of influence. Now, from this European customer that we help them find the experts to certain clients, the value of a single answer, answered even 5 minutes faster than it would have been in normal channels without social and customer service, is €17 per answer. So a huge return on investment for this particular marketing team. So our trend number 5 is the movement of information hoarding to information sharing, and that means one of your core elements for a marketeer is determining who those experts are and who can be trusted so that you get the right set of information out to those 15% of your clients. Okay, so trend number 4 that I want to talk about is reshaping the way that we buy in the world, in a social world. And my premise here is that value now is created not for a segment or a demographic anymore. Now you have to get down to an individual. So not looking at a market segment or a demographic, but looking at the individual. Now it'll be some sort of combination. When I got my MBA from Harvard, I did a lot of studies on how to determine market segmentation. I'm sure many of you guys did segmentation too. So it's not that you're tossing that out, but the real value creation will be within that segment, getting down to the individual. Let me show you what that looks like. So this is one particular customer, Royal Bank of Canada. And what they found is that as they were looking at their customer sat metrics, they were really poor. In fact, in Canada, they were number 5. Now, we all know that retaining a customer cost us 1/5 of the price of getting a new customer. So this was a big marketing problem for them. How could they retain their customer sets? And what they heard from their clients was that they were treating them as a group, as a demographic. They were doing it in segmentation. They felt like a number to the bank. That was the number 1 complaint. So what RBC did is they introduced a private community. So very much like a Facebook community, but one just for Royal Bank of Canada customers. And in here, they provided advice to them. But the advice that came in and the questions that came in was personalized to that customer. So they would go on Facebook and figure out who just recently had a child and were able to give advice about setting up college funds for that particular person. Who is going on vacation? Because everybody posts their vacation photos. Well, let's give them advice about how to manage finances when they're on the road. Fabulous idea. In fact, RBC moved from number 5 in customer service in Canada to number 1 in a year, which is unheard of. And the reason was this personalized social service that they provided to each of their customers. Their customers were able to access information based on them as an individual. Now, this goes even further. This is some of the latest technology that we're showing today. This is an iPad. This could be, imagine, your own website. And what you're seeing on here is by individual, the hot spots of that website. So it shows you in the red where people go the most. What are they clicking on the most? It's like a heat map. And the use and the leverage of this big data helps companies to better engage their clients because they know the hot spots for each individual and then can consolidate that into a segment. And then from a marketing perspective, you can optimize what really makes the most difference. So colors, linkage to Pinterest or linkage to Twitter or Facebook, what's the most important for your brand? How do people navigate? It may be that people in one region navigate one way or millennials one way. Can you customize that and make it set up for the individual versus a group or demographic? Now, this is a retail example. Do we have any retailers in the room? Some retails? Okay, great. So I think this is fascinating both from a retail perspective, but to give you a view of where the market is headed. These are 2 of my clients. On the left-hand side, you see the new social hanger, getting down to an individual basis. Is that a store in Asia? So you see that little digital tag on the hanger? So that is the number of people who have Facebook liked that article. So think about that. So I told you I had 2 girls. I've got one that's 13. When we go shopping together and she says, Mom, what do you think of my outfit? If I say yes, do you think she buys it? Absolutely not. I've even tried reverse psychology and she knows what I really like. But if her friends like it, do you think she'll buy it? Absolutely. So the really cool thing about this is each hanger tells you how many people like that. But I can also go up and hit a button, sync it with my phone, and then it just tells me how many people of my Facebook group or how many people of my 24,000 Twitter followers like that particular jacket. So think about the power of that, taking a demographic, taking it down to an individual, my Facebook fans, my Twitter followers, and allowing me to see their influence on my decision. The lower corner, you see another one of my clients. This is a client in Korea, and I love this too. You see the pictures of the different outfits up there? So those outfits are the top-rated Facebook outfits on their page. Now, if I'm in Korea, I can also change that to see the top American fashion. So if I want to dress like an American, I'm in Korea, which is really hot right now, I can do that, and it changes them. Or, again, I can sync my mobile device with my Facebook account or my Twitter account or my Pinterest account and find out the outfits that are most popular with my friends. So analytics here helping a client to understand and anticipate, giving them a compelling conviction to act based on an individualized view. And you can extrapolate this to many, many, many different industries, okay? So number 4, not just about segments anymore and demographics, but about the individual. So let's go to number 3. Innovation. So innovation now part of corporate culture. In IBM's CEO study, we surveyed 1,800 CEOs, largest CEO study in the world. Number 1 attribute that CEOs are looking for their people to have is creativity, innovation. But what they want to do is they want to move from being an individual creation machine to being more of a collaborative collaborative innovation machine. So they want to see marketing campaigns that have been crowdsourced. What does the crowd want? But they want to apply predictive capability so that they can predict whether the crowd told them was something that was today only or that was something that was going to trend in the future. So the value here for a marketeer is being able to use the technology to crowdsource ideas, understand what's hot in the market, and then use that same analytical tool set to understand what's really not a fad, what's really trending. And this could be done for a financial institution with financial offerings, with a retailer, regardless of industry, you can use and leverage this. So I'll show you an example. This is an example for a particular client. And what they've done is they have leveraged the tool of ideation, and customers can vote for the hottest idea that's out there. What's really going to happen? What does everybody want to see? What do they want to see in this conference? So imagine this conference if you crowdsource the entire agenda, or you crowdsourced your offerings, or you crowdsource that particular information, and then applied analytics to that to find out, okay, are those topics that are in the past, or are we also going to be looking at what's coming in the future? So let me show you an example of this that's happening right now. This is a fascinating company. It's a cement company called Cemex. Do you guys know Cemex? Okay, so some of you do, some of you don't. Mexican company, it's a cement company. So true brick and mortar company. Now they just won Harvard Business School Management 2.0 award. They beat out like 20,000 companies for having the best new management 2.0 in the world. In fact, they also just won one of the world top branding awards with the World Brand Congress. They launched a new global brand in a third of the time, and they did it all with social. So how did they do that? Well, you see a heat map up here, again using technology. And what they did was they came up with their 6 initiatives for the new brand. What do they want the new brand to stand for? What does Cemex really mean in the marketplace? How does ready-to-mix cement differ from other types of cement in the marketplace? And then globally, around the world, they crowdsourced. What do their customers think about that? What do their partners think about those ideas? Then they applied some of that predictive capability to find out where the market's headed. Not only did they launch a new global brand using this crowdsourcing, but they also found their #1 most profitable product, which turned out to be a ready-to-mix cement product, came out of all this crowdsourcing. Their #1 most profitable product came out of this crowdsourcing. So this whole area of crowdsourcing and innovation is part of the next generation of companies leveraging social in their marketing processes. Okay, #2. Social is the new production line. So I saw the last presentation, you don't want to be texting or Facebooking while you're driving, but while you're doing business, while you're marketing, you definitely want to be doing social. There is a change in the marketplace. So if you think back to the car manufacturers, when they changed from putting cars together by hand to a production line, that's exactly the trend and the power that we're seeing here. So if you're in marketing and you look after customer service, which in some marketing departments, customer service is there, customer service is being done in a whole different way, applying social to those business processes. Marketing being done in a completely different way. Did you know that 98% of people do not trust your website? They only trust word of mouth, right? 98% of people want to be involved in creating your brand like Cemex did. They don't want you to create it and give it to them. So marketing has completely changed. Recruiting, getting some of the best marketing talent, it's completely changed. The way you innovate, some marketing organizations, input requirement, completely changed. Social is now embedded into every one of those business processes, every one. Social is now the new production line. So let me show you some examples. I saw a lot of dogs out when I was walking around, so I thought this would be a great story. This is from one of our customers who has really used social as part of their new production line. They've embedded this into the way they get customer feedback for the marketing team. So this company is Lowe's. It's a home improvement store. They're one of the Fortune 50 companies in the world. And what they started to do is not just analyze what product was coming back into the store through their SAP ERP systems, but they also said, I want to know more. I want to have more engagement with the client. I want to know why they're returning things. So in this example, dog treats. people started returning a lot of dog treats from this particular vendor, manufacturer. So the customers were engaged by the employees, and the employees used a social community to talk about why the customers were returning the product. Using analytics, they were able to find out that the dog treats were making the dogs sick. So as the corporation, the marketing team saw this, they went to the manufacturer and they said, is there any problem or challenge with these dog treats? And the manufacturer said no. So Lowe's waited another 30 days, but the volume of social comments coming in from the employees who had engaged the customers was so high, they decided to pull the dog treats off the market. About 90 days later, there was a class action lawsuit against the manufacturer. About 15,000 dogs had died from eating these dog treats. Lowe's was not named in that class action lawsuit because they took the right action ahead of time. From what their employees had told the marketing team, they decided to pull it off the shelves. But even better than that, Lowe's got written up in all the major press for being a company that cares about animals, a company that cares about their employees to listen, a company that cares about this particular area. Press and marketing that they could not have paid for if they went through. By embedding social into their network, they made an impact on the market. Now, all of this embedding social into your process means that you're moving from a system of record to a system of engagement. The whole goal here is to engage people. A really quick example, Seton Hall is a university in the United States, and they were losing students coming into them. So they decided to apply social to their Facebook page and try to figure out how could they attract new students. So off of their Facebook page, they looked at affinity, who was coming to Seton Hall and applying and becoming a student. They found that those students who had a linkage to an alumni had a higher rate to come to Seton Hall. So they actually invited to their class of 2014 page Seton Hall alumni. They looked at the sentiment. What were the students or potential students talking about? And they brought those subjects in. They looked at evolving topics. What was the future for these students? What types of topics did they want to hear about? Change some of their curriculum. So using social to interact and to engage as part of their process, for the class of 2014, they have the largest matriculating class that they've ever had in that marketing campaign, 13% increase in enrollment year over year, by engaging and using social as part of their overall business process. Okay, so our last area, and this is for every marketeer in the room, is that social requires a different type of leader. The type of manager, executive, leadership that people looked for 10 years ago, they're not looking for today. They're looking for more of a servant leader, a person who is willing to listen, a person who is collaborative, who's comfortable with the technology, a person who is willing to take ideas from outside of their group and outside of what they're doing. So we've listed out 10 attributes of the new social leader that's required today, applies particularly to the marketing team and the marketing organization as you move forward. So leaders will set an agenda. We have something called a social business agenda. It helps you discover how you can take some of these trends we just talked about, turn them into part of your leadership effort, part of what you're doing in marketing. It helps you to figure out what your engagement model is, how you build a system of trust, how you design for reputation management in today's market, focused on the individual, not just a segment. And it helps you figure out how you leverage those analytics in today's new marketing world. If you look at marketeers today, they really are different than the marketeers of 5 years ago. Marketing today must understand more about the technology than they've ever done before. So I had from Harvard Business School, I have a degree in marketing, but I also have an undergraduate degree in technology. That is the #1 combination that companies around the world are looking for today, because to really do marketing well, you need to understand big data, social, analytics. So my final area for you is, what should you do more as a marketeer? So here's the areas I would look at. I would look at how you engage. I would look at your system of engagement. How do you do that today? Do you do that on a one-on-one basis? How do you engage your customers? I would look at shifting from that segmentation to targeting individuals. Are you leveraging the technology to do that? I would tap into big data, Because then you're listening to all those conversations that your clients are having, and you can be so much more competitive. We look at embedding social into the way that you do opportunity identification, marketing campaigns. Look at how you make social part of your production line. And finally, my challenge for each of you as you leave this conference, take away your homework. What are the leadership characteristics that I'm going to change in myself so that I am ready for the new world of social? Thank you very much for your time.